After Adaugo returned to her marital home that evening, Tunde was glad to see her. He welcomed her heartily. Adaugo, I'm so happy you are back. I've really missed you. See, Adaugo, I'm very sorry for all that had happened in the past. I promise to be a better husband from now onwards, Tunde said excitedly. No problems, answered Adaugo in a quiet tone. She hoped Tunde had learned his lesson. Few weeks after Adaugo's return, she decided to go back to her ministry of caring for children in the church. She thought to herself that even though she doesn't have her own children, I can be a mother to other people's children. At least I can make these children smile. Adaugo also gave a thought about adoption, even though she was skeptical about Tunde's reaction to her suggesting they go for adoption. After much thought, in one of the evenings, she discussed this with Tunde. As they were relaxing after a long day, please Tunde, please, I want us to consider adopting a child, fixing her eyes on Tunde's eyes, not wanting to get a no as an answer from him. What? Exclaimed Tunde in surprise. Adaugo, what happened to your faith? Tunde, I'm not getting any younger. I just need a child that I can cuddle and call my own. Tunde, you know the pressure is much on me. As the woman, you remember the last time we talked about IVF? You rejected it totally. That would have been the best option for us. Adaugo, someone's child can never be mine. My blood is my blood. I know, replied Adaugo in a quiet tone. Seeing Tunde's facial expression, he was already getting angry. Tunde, I just wish you can understand my point. Instead of us waiting this long, let's consider this option now, please, Tunde. Tunde, please now. It's not easy for me too. I wish a day would come that I will carry my own child, my own blood. But since it's not forthcoming now, we have several children in orphanage homes praying to have a parent. So it would not be a bad idea if we adopt one of them. So Adaugo, what are we going to tell people? You are not pregnant and you are carrying a baby. Adaugo, please, let's just forget about this. It's not going to work. But we can move to a new place now, said Adaugo, and start a new life over there. Sighed Tunde. It seems you've made all the plans already. Well, if that's what you want, you can go do the necessary findings and get back to me, Tunde said. Thank you so much, Tunde. This is the best thing that have happened to me for a long time now. As she hugged him, Adaugo, I just want you to put on a smiling face. Anything that will make you happy, I'm in, he said. Adaugo was so excited as she heaved a sigh of relief. Few weeks later, Adaugo and Tunde went to an orphanage home where she had done a thorough investigation to be sure they were genuine, and she was satisfied with the place. Tunde and Adaugo, when they got there, were introduced to the matron and the caregivers of the children. They were also introduced to some of the infants at the orphanage. Adaugo wanted an infant that was few weeks old. Adaugo and Tunde looked at some of the children lying on their bassinets, and finally Adaugo chose a baby boy. Tunde was also glad with the choice Adaugo made. The baby looked so innocent and giggled at them. Immediately Adaugo took him from the carer. Adaugo looked at the child and they had deep connection. She felt this inner joy and peace, and she knew he was the one. That afternoon, when they returned back, after dinner, Tunde called his mother into their bedroom as she sat on one of the sofa. Mama, there's this good news we want to share with you. Okay, I'm listening, said Madam Bigbe. I just hope it's worth my time, she said. I'm already feeling very sleepy, Mama, said Tunde, as he struggled with words, not knowing how his mother was going to take the news. Tunde, this one that you're biting your tongue. You just said you have good news to share with me. So why are you struggling with words? Mama, okay, Mama. Adaugo and I now have a son. Which son? She asked surprisingly. Tunde, you are speaking parables. Your wife has never been pregnant. Already we all know she's under a spell these years. Please, said Tunde, can you listen and not turn this into a fight? Tunde, I'm listening. No. Okay, Mama, see, he adopted a son and will be bringing him back home in 2 days' time. What? Tunde, what did you just say? Rising in anger. You mean this witch deceived you and made you consider adoption? And you both did this without seeking for my own opinion? Well, that will be over my dead body. Information. Stranger can never be my grandchild, Tunde. It's not going to happen, no. Is that child your flesh and blood? She then turned to Adaugo in anger. Adaugo, I've told you. Take your cursed life out of my son's life. You mean my only son cannot father a child, except the one from a stranger, whose lineage you know nothing about? What if stealing or madness runs in their bloodline? How will you know? I've heard a lot of bad stories about all these adopted children. Adaugo, I say it can never be well with you. For suggesting this evil to my son, it will never be well with you. Tunde, this woman has finished you. So you mean you cannot father a child? Mama, it's enough. Can't stand here and you continue to insult my wife. This is so unfair now. Why use such harsh words on her? After all, the child is not yours, but ours. Why taking paracetamol for another person's headache? Are those kids not created by God? Are they not humans like us? Don't they also deserve to have parents? Tunde, it can never happen. No. You will not bring a stranger into this house while I'm still alive. Oh. There are many fertile women out there. Not go and impregnate one of them and bring the child for me now. Or are you trying to tell me that the problem is from you? Or am I missing out something? Tunde, hope you are not the cause of your childlessness. Is it a sin if you remarry? Ah, Mama, you are so unbelievable. You call yourself a deaconess. See how dark your heart is. So appalling, Mama, that you can be this mean to my wife and I. Well, Mama, since you don't want to understand, no problem, I'm not forcing you. Thought it was the right thing to let you know our plan so it won't be a surprise. You are very lucky that you told me. You would have seen the wall of Jericho falling down, replied Madame Bigbe in anger, storming out of their bedroom in anger. Although Adaugo was happy that finally Tunde was standing his ground and not allowing his mother make him dance to her tune. Tunde's mother continued to make negative utterances, almost tearing down the roof with her shouts. Her daughters Titi and Omolayo tried all they could to calm her down, but she refused to be calm, so they let her be. Tunde, I just pray Mama comes around, Adaugo said to Tunde as they prepared to go to bed that night. Don't want any of her problem, Adaugo. I want you to know that what matters here is both of us. Our happiness is our priority. This is our choice and decision, and we need nobody's consent or approval. As for Mama, if she likes, let her pull down the roof. When she's tired, she'll go to bed. Please help me turn off the light switch, said Tunde to Adaugo, who was preparing to shower. I'll do that, said Adaugo, as she left for the bathroom. That night, Adaugo managed to get some sleep as her mother-in-law's threats filled her mind. She knew her mother-in-law to be a mean woman who could do anything to make a point. Early the next morning, Adaugo woke up Tunde, whose eyes were still heavy. Whoa, Adaugo, what is it now? Why are you disturbing my peaceful sleep? Tunde, I'm very sorry for waking you up. Just that I'm still disturbed. I don't trust your mother. I have this feeling that your mom may pull through her threats. Adaugo, if that's why you are losing your sleep, sorry that my mother can't do nothing. Please stop disturbing your head over nothing. Adaugo, can you just go back to sleep? As he placed his head back on the pillow and slept off, Adaugo was so restless, so she had to pray, handing over the issue into the hand of God. On the morning, Tunde and Adaugo were going to get their son from the orphanage. They went as usual into Mama's room to greet her before leaving. Good morning, brother, Titi greeted. Morning, Titi, replied Tunde. So where is Mama, brother? I don't know. Mama left the house very early this morning. You know she's still very angry now, so she wasn't talking to me. Okay, no problems, replied Tunde. My wife and I are leaving the house and will be returning soon, Tunde said as they left for the orphanage home. At the orphanage home, Adaugo and Tunde finally signed the papers, after which their son was handed over to them. They thanked the matron, caregivers who took care of the children. Adaugo was so happy that finally her prayers have been answered. Now have her own child. He was so grateful to Tunde for making this possible, for being considerate and not allowing his ego override their decision. After they left the orphanage home, Tunde drove straight to the supermarket so they could get some diapers and formula for their baby and the other necessities which they've not gotten for him. So when they finally got home that afternoon, they met the house under lock and keys. What's happening here now? Exclaimed Tunde in surprise. I thought I told Titi that we are returning back home soon. So why is everywhere locked? Tunde then tried to call Titi on the phone, but it was not connecting. After trying severally, he then decided to try his mother's phone number. It was also not reachable. Wow, he said as he went back to the car. Adaugo, please come inside. Let's just sit down and wait for them. Where could they have gone? Adaugo, who was worried about their child. The weather was hot, and their baby was uncomfortable. Their son, who was already tired, cried, and Adaugo tried to soothe him. Tunde tried to reach Titi and their mother on the phone, but it was still not reachable. It was already getting late, and they were all tired. Adaugo then said to Tunde, both of us we are not thinking. Oh. Can't you see that your mother has finally fulfilled her threats? She purposely locked us outside. Oh, now stop saying that, Adaugo. My mother cannot do this in my house. It's not possible now. Well, Tunde, it's hard to believe, but that's just the truth. Can't you read in between the lines? Tunde Adaugo was already very tired. Tunde, we better look for a solution before it gets late. No, now. Why would Mama lock us outside? Adaugo, let's just be patient. Let's give them the benefit of doubt. I strongly believe they will soon be back. I pray so, replied Adaugo as they continued to wait. After some time, it finally became clear to Tunde that his mother purposely locked them out. Tunde was so angry. Adaugo, seeing the pain and anger in Tunde's eyes, said to him, Tunde, just put yourself together. Your mother has done her worst. We have our son here. All we need now is a place to lay our head and pass the night. So in the morning, we'll know the next thing to do. It's okay, Adaugo. I'm so sorry about everything. Please. So that night, they drove in search of a guest house where they could pass the night. After some time, they were able to find a good place. It was in a quiet and serene environment, and their room was also spacious and conducive. That night, they quickly munched on the roadside food they bought. They were also able to prepare some formula for their son. Their son slept off. Adaugo and Tunde were so thankful that the baby was quiet, and they were also able to rest their tired bodies. Adaugo and Tunde were lost in deep sleep when the cry of their baby woke them up. Adaugo quickly gave their baby a warm bath and also fed him with some formula. Fully, they had some diapers and clothes and some other necessities which they shopped for him in the supermarket. During breakfast that morning, Adaugo asked Tunde, what are we going to name our son? So after suggesting several names, they agreed to name him God's Will, as they both accepted the will of God for their lives. In the evening, Tunde was able to get Titi on the phone. Tunde said to Titi in a harsh tone, what just happened yesterday? Titi, you mean you and Mama locked my family and I outside our home? Ah, brother, it's not me, oh. Brother, see my hands, oh. My hands are clean, oh. I don't know anything, oh. It's not me, but Mama, lied Titi in a shaking voice. Okay, so where is Mama now? Tunde asked. Brother, she traveled, though. As I'm speaking with you right now, Mama is in the village. Titi, what did you just say? Brother, Mama is in the village as we speak right now. I'm in my friend's house. She asked me to leave the house or she would lock me inside. I pleaded with her, but she refused. She said you are not entering our house with that your baby. That it's not done in our family to bring another blood, a strange blood, into our lineage. So brother, you can call her. Oh. It's not me. Oh. Tunde, who could not continue the conversation, had to drop the call. I never knew Mama could be this mean. My wife and I doesn't care about my happiness. So what am I going to do now? He thought to himself as he looked at God's will. Later on that night, after dinner, Tunde told Adaugo all that Titi told him. Tunde, didn't I warn you? I know your mother. She is very mean. She just hates me. It's okay, Adaugo. Stop saying that now. Tunde pleaded with her. I know what to do. I still have enough money in my savings. We'll just move to another part of Lagos. We will get a 2-bedroom in a quiet and serene environment and start a new life there. Thank God it's even happening now. And now have our space. That's true, replied Adaugo. And have the house, who cares? My dear, look at how radiant you look just these few days. I also know the joy I feel inside since God's will came into our lives. Mama is just joking, though. I can't trade this fulfillment with anything. That night, Adaugo gave God's will a warm bath, fed him, and they also had dinner. They talked deep into the night about their new plan for their family. Tunde and Adaugo continued to stay in the guest house until they were able to secure a beautiful accommodation in a good place in another part of Lagos, which was far away from his family house. They also furnished the house and built a little nursery for God's will. It was now 6 months since Adaugo and Tunde moved to their new house. Tunde and Adaugo were so happy they made this move. For the first time since they married, they had this inner peace and joy around them. They had the breath of fresh air. No prying eyes watching them. They are free from criticisms and constant naggings from Tunde's mother and her daughters. They were also grateful for the fulfillment they had as parents. They loved God's will so much. They were so grateful to God for the coming of God's will into their lives. He was indeed a blessing. Since God's will came into their lives, they had experienced massive favors. A year later, Adaugo was able to open a big boutique in the heart of the town where she lived. She was also able to write children Christian devotions and some storybooks based on morals. She was neck deep in the children ministry. Madame Bimpe swore never to come to see Adaugo and Tunde and their son God's will. She was so heartbroken that Tunde did not listen to her. After some months that Tunde and Adaugo moved to their new house, Omolayo and Titi came to visit them. They apologized to them and also begged for forgiveness on behalf of their mother. They were so shocked at how successful Tunde and Adaugo were in a short time. When God's will turned to, Titi visited Tunde and Adaugo. They were happy to see her. Titi was so happy. She admired God's will for his intelligence and how big he has grown. Adaugo, what are you feeding God's will with? He is just two and see how grown he has become. Ah, my sister, nothing no, replied Adaugo happily. God though, you and brother are really overfeeding this boy. You. So, Titi, what were you telling me on the phone? And brother, my fiance and I have fixed our traditional wedding in 3 weeks' time. Please, brother, Auntie Adaugo, I want both of you to be there, said Titi in a pleading tone. Titi said to Tunde, you are not supposed to be begging me to be present during your traditional marriage. Just that, Mama, I don't want her embarrassment. You know she has kept her distance all this time. Brother, please, I assure you that Mama is going to do nothing. You know you are my only brother, and you need to be there, brother. Auntie Adaugo, please reconsider your decision, ma. I know Mama have been so wicked to you. Please forgive her. It's okay, Titi, replied Adaugo as she assured her that they were going to think about it. Thank you so much, Auntie Adaugo. I'm very grateful, ma. So let me get you lunch. Yes, ma. As if you know I'm very hungry. As she joined her in the kitchen, even though it was not easy for Tunde and Adaugo, they still made up their mind to travel for Titi's traditional marriage. They had no excuse not to be there. Tunde and Adaugo bought lots of things. They bought foodstuffs, wrappers, and had enough cash on them as they traveled for Titi's traditional marriage. In Tunde's village, already Titi and Omalayo and their mother have traveled days back before the return of Tunde and Adaugo. Tunde and Adaugo were warmly welcomed, his mother's sisters and family members and their children who had returned for the wedding. The villagers who heard that Tunde returned with his wife and child also came around to welcome them. Adaugo and Tunde gifted them with some foodstuff and cash. They were so happy and surprised at the humility and generosity of Tunde and especially that of his wife Adaugo. The news traveled round the village that Adaugo was very generous and kind. On the day of the traditional marriage, everybody was gorgeously dressed. The canopies were beautifully decorated. The smell of the food filled everywhere. The villagers trooped in their numbers to come witness traditional wedding of Titi to her rich husband, who came from another town close to theirs. There was a lot to eat and drink. Fran's troupe was also there to entertain the guests. Tunde was there to play the role of a father, and Titi's husband performed all the traditional rites required for the marriage of Titi. Later on that evening, as Tunde was busy attending to some of the guests, an elderly woman continued to look at him, trying to recall his face. Tunde too was uncomfortable the way the old woman was staring at him. He had thought the woman needed help, so he walked to her. Good evening, Mama. How may I help you, ma? Do you need anything? Ha! I said it too. This is him, oh. Tunde, who was surprised, did not understand what the woman was saying. Mama, what is it? He asked curiously. Before he could utter another word, the old woman started crying, raising her voice and alerting the other guests who were still around. Tunde looked at the woman in surprise. The woman continued to scream. Her cry and screaming threw everyone into confusion. What could be the problem? After much pleas, the woman calmed down. She stopped crying. So Mama asked Tunde desperately, As he could not understand such embarrassment, everybody looked, waiting for the mystery to be unraveled. Then the woman dropped the bombshell. This man here is a murderer. He killed my daughter, my only child. He made me childless many years ago. It will never be well with you. He continued to curse him. Everybody was surprised. They did not understand what the woman was saying. Tunde was already running out of patience. She said to her, Mama, have we met before? Why lay such allegation against me? I don't know you and I've never met you before. You say you don't know me, Abi. Are you not the copper that came to my town many years ago as a copper? Don't you remember Simi? Oh, you have forgotten Simi. Then she started crying again. Tunde remembered that name. Simi was the worst thing that happened to him. He remembered how he had gone to serve in their town. He was posted to SS3 class to coach them in mathematics as they were preparing for their final exams. It was there he met Simi, a very beautiful and intelligent young girl. Simi was outstanding in other subjects, but was not good in mathematics. She knew that if she failed mathematics, that she would let her mother down. So she made up her mind that she would put in her best to pass mathematics. She pleaded with Tunde to coach her after school hours and in his house. Though Tunde did not like the idea of Simi coming to his house, after much pressure from Simi, he decided to go extra mile for her. So he taught her after school hours, sometimes in the school and sometimes in his house. It wasn't long and Tunde fell in love with Simi. He really liked Simi, but she was very young and naive and was just about to write her senior WAEC. Months on, their relationship progressed. Tunde promised Simi to love her and told her a lot of sweet words. And it did not take time. They threw caution into the wind and Simi got pregnant. Though Tunde was not aware that Simi was pregnant for him, it was already few weeks to his passing out. He was so happy that finally he was leaving the village, even though it was not easy living the city life and coming to the village which lacked lots of amenities. He was happy that Simi made his stay here memorable. One evening as Tunde was sleeping in his house, he heard a loud shout and knock on his door. He wondered who that person could be. Who wants to break down my door now? As he came outside, only to see Simi weeping bitterly, and the woman, who sighting him immediately, started raining curses on him. And madam, what did I do now? Why are you saying these mean words to me? Mr. Copper, fine boy, this is your package. You really scored a very beautiful goal, and I'm here to hand you over your trophy. See your package. My daughter came to you for help, and you took advantage of her and impregnated her. She is just 16, about to write her senior WAEC. And this is what you did to her. I have nothing much to say. I just brought in your package for you. She turned to Simi. Me, if I see you close to my house, whatever I do to you, take it to. Shebi you want to marry. Oh yeah, that thing you cannot wait for. You can go and continue to enjoy it. As she left the compound angrily, Simi looked at Tunde, who was confused and shocked. Simi, what did I just hear? You are pregnant. It cannot be me, Tunde said, avoiding Simi's eyes. Simi, can you give me an answer? Simi, who was trembling in fear, said to him, why are you behaving like this now? You know you are the one that got me pregnant. You know you are the one. Why are you pretending now? What's that your name? Tunde asked. Simi, I don't know your plans and that of your mother. How can you say I got you pregnant? Simi, you and your mother cannot force me to accept your pregnancy. See, Simi, before I turn, just disappear from this place now. Tunde thundered in anger. Simi continued to plead with him. Please now. I thought you said you love me. Please now. You know I'm not lying. You know I've never done it with anyone before. Please now. Don't throw me out. Go back home. My mother will kill me. See, Simi, this thing you are saying is not for me. You better just leave this place. It's already getting late too. Tunde, who could not continue to be patient with Simi, chased her away out of his compound. Simi was nervous. It was late at night. She thought about the bush path that led to her house. Seeing that Tunde's mind was made up, she had no choice but to risk it back home. So she trekked through the bush, the lonely road to her mother's house. Fortunately, on her way back, she ran into those village bad boys who smoke and snatch people's bags. They chased her, subdued and raped her. Simi tried to cry for help, but her voice was faint. It was already late at night, and nobody could hear her. Simi, in pains, dragged herself home. When she got to her mother's house, she cried, Mama, with her last strength, then slumped on the ground. By the time her mother came out, Simi was already lying unconscious on the ground. She gave out a loud cry, and her neighbors came around and they were able to take Simi to the healthcare center. There she was treated. They also discovered that she lost the pregnancy. Simi cried bitterly for the betrayal of Tunde. She narrated to her mother how Tunde chased her out of his house that night and how she ran into a gang of bad boys that raped her. It was a narrow escape for her. My child, said Simi's mother, I'm very sorry. I brought this on you. Child, please forgive me. Selfish, egoistic. I thought about what people would say. I neglected and abandoned you in the arms of a stranger. Please, my child, forgive me. Don't leave me. You know you are my only child. Please, Simi. I promise to make that copper pay. 2 days later, Simi died due to loss of blood. Simi's mother was so heartbroken. It was a traumatic sight for her. She watched her child, only hope, give up the ghost. She rained curses on Tunde. So after the burial of Simi, when she had gained some strength, went to see Tunde, only to be told by his neighbors that Tunde passed out few days back. Simi's mother threw herself on the ground. She cried and the women tried to console her. Madam, you just have to put yourself together. Copper Tunde has passed out and there's no way to get to him. Please, madam, we are very sorry for your loss. Simi's mother returned home. She grieved and mourned Simi for several months. She then placed a curse on Tunde. He was never going to hear the cry of a child from his own loins. Adaugo just stood there speechless. She could not believe her ears. So it has all been Tunde's fault. Oh God. I thought Tunde was innocent. Be and his sisters and the other family members, we are all speechless. The woman continued to curse Tunde. She also wept. After much pleas, they were able to talk to her. They all pleaded with her to forgive Tunde. Tunde and Adaugo pleaded with the woman to forgive them. Please, Mama, said Adaugo, forgive my husband. I have suffered so much for the sin I did not commit. His mama, I'm very sorry for your loss. Forgive my husband. Please, in the name of God, forgive me too. It has been very traumatic for me all these years. Please, Mama, forgive my husband. Simi's mother, so much touched by Adaugo's cry and pleas, said to Tunde, it has not been easy all these years. Knowing someone cut short my daughter's life. Simi was my light, and you quenched that light. That night you chased her out of your home. Well, I forgive you. Reverse every curse I have placed upon you. You can now go and have your own children. As tears flowed down her cheeks, everybody thanked her. Tunde was so grateful to her. Adaugo and Tunde later on that evening gifted her some foodstuff, some money, also promised to place her on a monthly salary to alleviate her sufferings as she was quite old and had no child. That evening, Simi's mother returned back to her town. She had come in company of Titi's in-laws. She was grateful to them for their generosity. Tunde that night continued to plead with Adaugo. Adaugo, please, I'm very sorry. I never knew this would affect me this way. I was just a copper. I was young and not thinking. Adaugo, how is it possible for me to come home? My mother, it's a pregnant teenager after youth service. This will break her heart. Adaugo, I did not know Simi died. I only asked her to go back to her mother. I was not ready for any responsibility. Adaugo did not utter a word as she continued to weep. After some time, he said to Tunde, Tunde, you are wicked. I deemed it important to tell me about your past. It's true you did not know she died, but you know you impregnated her. She was carrying your child. What if she was still alive? That means your child would be somewhere else today. You are the cause of all this pain. Passed through 10 years of our marriage, all the anguish, all the insults, Tunde, the maltreatment from your mother and your sisters, the pain of not having my own child, not carrying my own child in my womb. Dugu, please now, I'm very sorry, replied Tunde, who was also weeping. I never knew my past will visit me this way. Please, Tunde, I just need to think. Walked out of their bedroom. When Adaugo walked into the sitting room, she was surprised to meet Madam Bimpe and Omalayo sitting on the sofa. Thought to herself, what could be the reason why these two people are here? This place that I said, let me come and calm my head down. Before she could sit on one of the sofa, Tunde's mother and Omalayo said to her, Adaugo, we are very sorry for all the maltreatments, for all the wrong accusations. Madam Bimpe said to her, Adaugo, I'm very sorry for everything. It never crossed my mind that it could be Tunde's fault. I misjudged you, Adaugo. Please forgive me for all my wrongdoings. The way I treated you in the past was being wicked and selfish. Well, Mama said Adaugo, I have forgiven you. Molayo, you know I have also forgiven you. You are saying this because God has vindicated me, Mama. I only have one question for you. If I was your daughter, would you have treated me this way? Well, I don't want to see any of you close to my house. For now, I just want to be on my own. She got up and walked back into their bedroom. 2 days after, Tunde and Adaugo returned back to Lagos. They continued their lives happily together. Adaugo forgave Tunde after they returned back to Lagos. A year after, Adaugo had gone to her business. When she was rushed to the hospital, Adaugo called Tunde on the phone that she was in the hospital. So sorry, Adaugo. I asked you to go to the hospital, but you continue to postpone it. So sorry, I'll soon be there. Later on, Tunde came to the hospital and was met with the shock of his life. The doctor handed him the lab result, and there stated that Adaugo was pregnant. He jumped for joy and hugged Adaugo. Oh, Adaugo, God has done it for us. Adaugo, you are pregnant. Thank you, Lord, Adaugo said, for wiping away my tears. So God's will now have a sibling. I thank you so much. Later on that day, Adaugo called Naza, her friend, on the phone, sharing the news with her. Naza was so happy for her friend. Her friend finally was going to become a mom, though the months that followed the delivery of their child, not without some difficulties. With the support of Tunde, Naza, and prayers, Adaugo pulled through to the end, and in the 9th month of her pregnancy, she went into labor. The doctors have already booked her for a C-section since she was going to have twins. Adaugo already said she was not ready for the stress of pushing out 2 babies, so she opted for a C-section. On the day of the C-section, to the surprise of everyone, she was delivered of triplets, 2 boys and a girl. Tunde and Adaugo were exceptionally happy. Tunde had to share the news with Adaugo's parents so that Adaugo's mother can start coming over to Lagos for Omugwo. When the news got to Tunde's mom, she could do nothing. Even though she wanted to see her grandchildren, she knew Tunde was not going to agree immediately. So she continued to plead with him and Adaugo. Tunde one of the days said to her on the phone when she called him, Mama, so these children are now your grandchildren. But you rejected our first son, God's will. He was not our blood. Mama, you threw us out of our own home just because of God's will. Mama, please, I have nothing to say to you. After much pleas from Omolayo and Titi and the other family members, Tunde, having known that his mother have really learnt her lesson, allowed her to come see their children. During the child dedication of the triplets, Tunde surprised Adaugo with a beautiful car. It was a huge surprise to her. Adaugo was overjoyed. Tunde and Adaugo continued to love their first child, God's will. God's will, as he grew up, played the role of a big brother to his siblings. Adaugo and Tunde loved and cherished each other. They thanked God for making their lives such a blessing and hope to others waiting for such a blessing from God. Thank you so much for watching this story. I really appreciate your time and support. Please don't forget to like and share this story with your loved ones and friends. Let's also share our thoughts in the comment section, the moral lessons we have learned from this story. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Remember that subscription is free. Turn on your notification bell so you would be notified when we release another story. Until we meet again next time, stay blessed and bye!